Hello peeps and hello peppers and welcome to Tarot Tuesday, filmed on Wednesday. It is 9:30 and it's still light. And shout out to Mary who said the other day in a general reading that there might be something from the childhood that the audience might rediscover. And first, I didn't know what that meant, but then I rediscovered the kakapo bird, which was basically in one of my first animal documentaries that I watched when I was an elementary school kid. And hey, I learned what booming is, like the mating call by the kakapo. That sounds really spooky. And if you have never ever heard of a kakapo, that is the only flightless parrot there is. It's also called an owl parrot because it has a sort of like a face like an owl and it's nocturnal. And like in more recent times, I saw this uh, really goofy, beautiful video where this dude walks the ground and climbs over a fence. So today I have my other slightly endangered odd walking birdies. I mean, there are only like 250 viable kakapo in the world, but there are remarkably more puffins. But still, what would be an interesting thing to rediscover from our childhood that maybe brings us ahead? Take what resounds for you personally, and if nothing resounds, then just let it fly like a little bird. Okay. The Fool card is, of course, always like starting a journey without overthinking, which children tendentially do more than adults. And actually, so I would say my personal connection to that is Yonkers U, like an airplane. I don't know what this airplane completely looks like, but I found it amusing that my father always said that people called this airplane Auntie U. And actually, like this, going to museums and also like learning about history. Like when I was a little bit older, like 10 years old, then I asked about weird symbols on airplanes and trains and so on in museums. And well, at least then the people had a point to start explaining to me that Germans partly have a very dark history. I still don't know how to explain this to a child, but actually, what used to be good in my childhood is that I could ask questions and then eventually would find someone to explain to me in a manner that I hopefully understood. Actually, this puffin also wears a cap, so I would say my family tried to protect me from many things. That was not intelligent in all cases, but okay. Maybe to keep this more general for other people, maybe you had something in your childhood that protected you, your happy place, your dream, your like right now I'm suddenly getting this positive flashback of a children's book by Astrid Lindgren, the mother of Pippi Longstocking, but she wrote many more books, and one of them was Madicken. I think is her name Margaret or Matilda or something in English. Um, she yeah, she lives in the countryside, and it is once mentioned that she is 7 years old, but let's say she thinks in a relatively mature way. She is so reflective, and then befriends like the really poor children of the neighborhood. And actually, this was my favorite book that I read like a million thousand times when I was let's say a little bit older and didn't want to be Pippi Longstocking anymore. I wanted to be Little Margaret. And actually, like in today's time, Little Margaret is interesting to me because her father is a magazine editor or like a newspaper editor, and he always says he is fighting for justice in society. I mean, he is like compared to the other people in the area and compared to the time, he is like very well off, and he goes to a fine restaurant with his family and so on. Um, but um, let's say the housemaid Alva uh, actually teaches Margaret and her little sister Elizabeth compassion for the other children, and like reflecting how to handle and not handle the alcoholic neighbor. And actually, yeah, uh, okay, my recommendation of the day is unpack the books of your childhood. Maybe uh, reflect on how you learned to read or something like that. I mean, like, of course, it was said to me that I read when I was 4 years old, but like the learning to write was a little bit different stuff. And there, I sometimes had the feeling someone was standing behind me with a fire stick. Um, but yeah, I always was a little baby bird. I like dressing up with caps. Maybe you, yeah. There we are again with finding something that you used to like to dress in. I mean, this tassel cap is also like from the Icelandic folk costume, so actually that makes me think a lot of this, like let's say old soul spirit of Little Margaret, and also of another book that I read as a young adult in Icelandic that's called Skuggabaldur. Like one of my first Icelandic books is basically about people who live in an isolated valley. And the priest basically adopts a young woman with that read a little bit like Down syndrome. But of course, when you have a story that's set in 1800 something something, you don't have medical terms. But let's say it is her pride to make a like a herbarium and learn about the stuff that grows in nature, and actually have a small job where she earns enough to save up for an Icelandic national costume that she can wear to church on Sunday. And I think I've mentioned numerous times in my more Iceland oriented videos that the churches back in the olden days were sort of an institution of education uh, when there was no other education. So actually, my own childhood nostalgia, like now, like putting this museum and Little Margaret and the Kakapo bird under one umbrella is I wanted to learn, and I wanted to learn on my own terms. And this is the only figurine in this entire Puffin Tarot that has boots on. So this is basically like then you don't show the claws that are made for digging and building a house. So maybe this is an invitation to someone to think if there is more to life than working and building a house. We are building a house of fire, baby, filling it with our love. Oh, I love about tarots that the some tarot readers spontaneously sing, and nobody says anything about this. Okay, actually, the Emperor aligns with this like overwhelming male energy. The penguin is a very monogamous bird who walks really long stretches and also makes really spooky wailing sounds. The puffin is, by the way, usually also monogamous. Like I saw this set of puffin dolls in a display window where like the female had a bridal dress and a veil and the guy had a tuxedo on, and this had a little tag on "Be my puffin" because puffins stay together for life, which yeah is also assumed of penguins, but maybe uh, this is this card is an invitation that this convention is not the only one solution to life. Like the tree has so many branches. The tree has roots, of course. I'm not talking against the roots of the tree. Um, Sort of like little Margaret surely has roots in Värmland or something like Astrid Lindgren, but she questions society. Does this always have to be this way? Does this all have to be this way that Mia and Batti have lice? Does this have to be this way that they only get like a social service Christmas meet and no one visits them, no one gives them gifts and so on? Can we not change that? Um, so okay, this is coming out in reverse. I am no good at reading reverses, but okay, this is like the puffin brushing the weapons. But maybe if we read this in a more positive way, like this is a little bit like a children's bucket with polish. So maybe this puffin is little Margaret when little Margaret grows older. Like, and this one doesn't have claws. So maybe maybe little Margaret wants to change the ways of the adults. And I wanted to change the ways. I wanted to change school so I could learn on my own terms. I wanted to like do something for animal protection, and the adults very often just yelled at me, "Then you have to become a politician." I never became a politician, like because I heard so many stories about bullying, like even within parties. But here I am, and I want to rediscover that old dream to change the world by my art. I mean, Astrid Lindgren changed animal protection laws in her country just by writing books and just by writing letters to the politicians. And I am not really informed about, I don't know, like quality stamps on Swedish meat because my visits to Swedish supermarkets were very brief. Um, but yeah, I like believing that Astrid Lindgren made a difference and touched a lot of people with her characters who asked the adults, does this have to be this way? And actually, my Swedish teacher told me when I left Germany for Iceland, "You're like Pippi Longstocking. You never let anyone tell you what to do." Um, and yeah, let's be a little bit more Little Margaret. Let's be a little bit more Pippi Longstocking and have a nice evening, everybody. Bye bye.